Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Paper Rose Studios' Petals and Pansies collection. This is a beautiful collection, lots of lovely florals, and some yummy sweet treats. There are two different paper collections available, Petals and Pansies and also Petals and Pansies Basics. I only have the Petals and Pansies 6x6 paper pack. It includes 18 double-sided pattern papers. There are several sheets that have lovely cut-aparts and sentiments. Both paper packs are also available in 12x12, so if you prefer the larger size, that is an option. There are a few sheets that have a full 6x6 design. You can always simply trim out a portion of that design and use it on a card. I have 4 of the coordinating embossed die cut packs, and I always enjoy using Paper Rose's embossed die cuts. They have that beautiful glossy detail that even gives it that tiny bit of dimension. There's no fussy cutting required. You simply pop out the images and sentiments. I'm showing the Petals and Pansies embossed die cut pack first. There are 4 sheets. These are all 6 by 8 inches in size. The images and colors match perfectly with the pattern paper. The next embossed die cut pack is Petals and Pansies Tags and Tickets. This set includes quite a few images plus a bunch of sentiments. There are a few spring sentiments, but most of them you could use throughout the year. Lots of beautiful florals. There's sweet images of dogs and bunnies. I love the tag with the bicycle with a basket filled with lovely florals. The next embossed die cut pack is called Petals and Pansies Teddies. It includes quite a few adorable teddy bear images, boys and girls. There are lots of great spring sentiments plus sentiments you could use throughout the year. There's a happy birthday, thinking of you, just for you. There are several different colored bows, baskets of flowers, pots of flowers, so many beautiful images. The next embossed die cut pack is something I haven't used before from them. It's Petals and Pansies Layered Sentiments. So it has the words and then there's a coordinating pattern paper design for the outline of the words, which is really fun. So here's the word grateful, and then you would punch out the pattern paper piece right next to it, and it lines up perfectly, giving you that fun pattern design as a layer. And since these are embossed die cuts, all the words also have that lovely glossy detail. There's a nice variety of sentiments, many spring sentiments, but others that you could use throughout the year. I'm looking forward to using these on some cards. The final products I have from the Petals and Pansies collection are the Quick Cards collection and the Quick Cards die cuts. The Quick Card die cut includes the exact same sheets that are in the Quick Cards collection. So you can purchase those individually, or if you just want duplicates, that's also an option. I love making multiples of the same card, so I like to have both packs when I'm crafting. Paper Rose's Quick Cards collections are always very popular. It's filled with pattern paper, die cuts, and also an inspiration sheet showing 6 different card samples that you could create using the products in the kit. There are 4 sheets of the embossed die cuts. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also purchase just the die cuts individually. There are always tons of sentiments, plus lots of beautiful images. My favorites are always the large circle images with a colored frame. For pattern paper, there are 18 double-sided 6x8 sheets. You can cut the sheet in half and use it as backgrounds for 2 different A2 size cards. Many of these sheets also have another pattern paper strip, either horizontally or vertically, it looks like another pattern paper layered on cardstock, but this is all one sheet, so you're not adding any extra dimension. The back side has more tone-on-tone muted designs to match with the busier patterns. There are a couple of plaid designs, polka dots, here's a tone-on-tone distress look, and a fun chevron design. So there's a look at just some of the products from Paper Rose Studios' Petals and Pansies collection. And if you are interested, I do have links in the description box below. I'll be making 5 different card designs using a mix of all the products I showed. For card design number 1, I'm using the beautiful lilac pattern paper for the background, and I cut that piece to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I'm adding a strip of the purple chevron tone-on-tone, and I'll layer it on the green and white polka dot. The chevron piece is 1 3/4 inch by 5 1/4 inches, and the green polka dot is 2 1/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch. Before adding this strip on the background pattern paper, I'm first putting a Love from Lizi peel off along the edge of the purple chevron strip. This is the pinstripe style in white, and I'm using the narrowest width. Since I will be covering up the very center, I was able to use some of the small scrap pieces I have left over. I need just one more small peel off piece. It's a little bit too long, so I will trim off the extra. I'll wrap the ends around the back. Then I'll add this strip on the background. When adding adhesive, I'm making sure to cover up that very end of the peel off strip. I'll use the grid lines on my craft mat to get this nice and centered on the background. Now I'll add more adhesive, layer it on some green cardstock, and the green cardstock piece is 4 1/8 inch by 5 3/8 inch. Put more ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 inch of the white card base showing. The background pattern paper is direction specific, so I was making sure not to put it on upside down. Whenever I have small scrap pieces of pattern paper left over, I like to put them on the inside of the card just for a little extra detail. I'll be adding several of the embossed die cut pieces, and I have them in a small stack and sort tray from scrapbook.com. First, I'm adding a stitched white circle die cut. The die is from Paper Rose, and this circle is 2 3/4 inch in diameter. I'll glue that down first. I'm also adding a small banner in the upper left-hand corner. The cardstock piece is 5/8 inch by 7/8 inch. I'll first cut a fishtail on the bottom, then I'll cut the right side in slightly at an angle, flip it over, and do the same thing on the other side. And to adhere it down, I'm using Barely Art glue. I am using some foam squares to pop up the images and sentiment. I'm using the large and small foam squares from scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. So it'll add just that little bit of dimension. The lovely purple typewriter will be in the very center, and the 2 lilac sprigs will be on the left side. There's a larger one and a slightly smaller one. I am popping up just the very end of those floral pieces with some foam squares. I'll add the large floral piece down first, putting glue behind the rest of the die cut piece. Then I'll add the smaller one below it, more on the left side. Now I'll add the typewriter. I'm also adding these fun purple glasses and the sentiment with love. I'll put 2 small foam squares behind the glasses and some of the large foam squares behind the sentiment, and I will cut one of those squares in half. I want to make sure to have good coverage behind the sentiment. I'll remove the release paper, add the glasses in front of the typewriter on the right side, and the sentiment will go underneath the typewriter on the left side. I'll make sure to get that on nice and straight. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in silver. I'm using the medium and the smaller size. I'll put 2 circles on the right side of the typewriter and 1 on the left side. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards feature the same pattern paper for the background. I just changed out the image and sentiment. The other 2 cards also feature the same pattern paper, but it's the side of the paper that already had that pre-printed strip. And I selected different embossed images and a spring sentiment. For card design number 2, I am using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from Cards TV. It's sketch number 42. For the background of my card, I selected the lovely pastel plaid pattern paper. And for the strip going across the card, I'm using the purple and white polka dot. I'll adhere that down first. And for a little bit of separation, I'll use another Love from Lizi peel-off. This is the straight style in white. So it's a little bit wider than the widest strip on the pinstripe sheet. I'll add 1 on both sides of the purple polka dot, wrap the ends around the back, then layer this piece on some purple cardstock. And that cardstock layer is 5 3/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. If you prefer a wider border, I would suggest cutting that cardstock layer to a full A2 size, 5.5 inches by 4 1/4 inches. I'll put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I cut out 2 stitched oval die cuts, and the oval dies are from Paper Rose. For the smaller one, I use a very subtle linen texture white cardstock, and the larger one is the same purple I use for the background layer. I'll glue the 2 ovals together, then put more glue on the back and add the ovals on the left side of the card. I'm adding this adorable little boy teddy bear, and I've already popped him up with foam dimension. For a sentiment, I'm adding happy birthday, and I also have foam dimension behind that. I'll put the sentiment on the right side of the oval, and then the bear will go in the center of the white oval. I think the little teddy bear images are so cute. Some of them are holding objects, but this bear has his paws in his pockets. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in white. I'll put 3 on the right side, following the design of the card sketch, and 2 more in the lower left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 feature the same pattern paper, just different images and sentiments. For the other 2 cards, I use this beautiful pansy lattice pattern paper for the background and 2 of the girl teddy bear images. 2 of my cards are happy birthday, and the other 2 have thinking of you sentiments. Now moving on to card design number 3. For the background of my card, I selected this fun pattern paper with lots of books and butterflies, and this is from the Quick Cards collection. I cut it to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. On the left side, I'm adding a banner, and I use the green and white polka dot paper for the banner. It's 1 3/4 of an inch by 4 3/4 of an inch. I cut a fishtail on the bottom, and I'll adhere it about 1/2 an inch in from the left side of the pattern paper. Now I'll layer the background on purple cardstock. That cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. I'll put my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next, I'll add a stitch circle die cut, And this circle is 2 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and I cut it out from some white shimmer cardstock. So it has this beautiful pearlescent finish. Before adhering it down, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock on the right side, just in the area where it goes off of the green polka dot banner, and that'll help it stay at the same level. For an image, I'm adding this envelope with beautiful flowers. It also has this tiny wax seal. I did pop it up using foam dimension. I'll adhere it in the center of the circle, and for a sentiment, I'm adding thanks. I'll put glue on the back and adhere it underneath the envelope. For embellishments, I'm using some older gemstones from my stash. I'll put 3 in the upper left-hand corner and 2 in the lower right-hand corner. Since these are older, the adhesive isn't the best, so I am adding a teeny tiny drop of Barely Art glue. I want to make sure they stay in place. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards feature the same images and pattern paper. The second 2 cards, I use the Treats pattern paper, a yellow plaid paper for the banner, and then there's a beautiful cake with lots of florals, plus the sentiment, Happy Birthday. For card design number 4, the card sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 734. Now this sketch was designed to be a square card, but I almost always make A2 size cards, so I added the measurements to make a vertical A2 size card. For the background of my card, I selected the tone-on-tone chevron paper. That piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. The larger rectangle panel has bunnies, I think little chicks or ducks, lots of florals. And the smaller rectangle is a green tone-on-tone sort of distressed looking design. I'm layering both of them on purple cardstock, but first I'll round the corners on the pattern paper and cardstock pieces. The corner rounder I use is a corner chomper. There's 2 different sizes of corners, and I use the 1/4 inch size. I'll layer the background on the purple cardstock layer, and that cardstock piece is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Now I'll add the bunny and floral piece on the right side, about 1/4 of an inch out from the right pattern paper edge. Before adding the green piece down, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock on the left side, just in the area where it goes off of the other pattern paper rectangle. I will cut the corners on this scrap piece. I don't need to round them, I just want to make sure they're not peeking out from the background. Then I'll put adhesive on the back, adhere it down. Now I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Now on the card sketch, there's that narrow strip, a 1/8 inch strip. I'm not adding that. Instead, I'll be putting a sentiment and an image on this green panel. I selected the thanks sentiment and then this striped outline shadow piece. I am popping up the sentiment before adhering it down on the shadow piece. Then I'll put glue on the back, adhere the sentiment down. And I've already put foam on the back of the boots filled with pansies. I'll remove the release paper and add the image above the thanks sentiment. For embellishments, I'm using mini circle peel-offs in silver. I'll put 3 circles, the smallest size, on the left side of this green panel and 2 in the lower right-hand corner. For the 2 in the lower right-hand corner, I'm using the medium and smallest size. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. All 4 cards feature the same purple chevron paper for the background, One card, I use a purplish pink pattern paper for that smaller rectangle piece. And then I selected different images and sentiments. I really like the look of the new layered sentiments. Now moving on to card design number 5, and this is my final card design. The sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 722. For the background of my card, I selected a fun treat design. There are cakes, cupcakes, cookies, maybe some pudding. For the narrow strips on the right side, the diagonal strips, I'm using the purple and white polka dot and also the light yellow plaid. I'll add both of those on a purple cardstock layer. Next to the purple and white polka dot, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel off. This is the straight style in white with gold overlay. So it has this beautiful gold shine on the edges. Before adding the peel off, I'll first adhere the 2 pattern paper strips on the card. And this piece is about 6 inches long, so it's longer than I need. I'll put adhesive on the back, adhere this piece down, then I'll flip over the card panel, and with a pair of scissors, I'll trim off the overhang. Now I'll add the peel off, and instead of using a full strip, I'll use a few of the scrap pieces since I will be covering up the center area with an image. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on purple cardstock, and this time my cardstock layer is a full A2 size, so 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. If the background of my card is a lighter color like this pale yellow, I prefer to have the wider cardstock border. But most of the time I'll have that narrow cardstock border and then some of the white card base showing. I'll put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, and pretty good timing, I just ran out of my ATG tape. This card will feature a large circle image with a colored frame, and I decided to match it with the background so it features more of the yummy treats. Before adhering it down, I did put a scrap piece of cardstock on the left side. That way it stays at the same level. For a sentiment, I'm adding birthday wishes. The right side of the sentiment will sit on the image die cut piece. So behind the rest of the sentiment, I'm adding a scrap cardstock and pattern paper piece. Those 2 pieces together put the sentiment at the same level. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere it in place. For a little extra detail, I'll add a small banner in the upper left-hand corner. This piece is 7/8 of an inch by 5/8 of an inch. I'll cut a fishtail on the bottom on the wide side. Put glue on the back and adhere the banner in place. I think having that banner there balances out the card design more. I know the card design doesn't include the large circle for the image, but I think every single time I've used this sketch, I always add the large circle and then the sentiment on the left side. For embellishments, I'm adding more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in gold. I'll put 2 on the banner in the upper left-hand corner and 3 in the lower right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards feature the same images, pattern paper, and sentiments. The other 2 cards, I use different pattern paper, the Hello Spring sentiment, and a beautiful butterfly image. Now here's another look at the 20 cards I made using Paper Rose Studios Petals and Pansies collection. I used 1 of the 6x6 paper pads, 4 of the embossed die cut packs, plus the quick cards collection. This is a beautiful collection. I love all the purple and lovely spring images. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. Paper Rose is located in Australia, and they do ship their products internationally, but you can also purchase them here in the US, and I have links for both locations listed below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.